Today on V8 Extra, he surprised everyone in Sydney last year with his first V8 supercar race win. Now he's out on his own. Jonathon Webb joins us to talk about his new team and direction. We'll chat with a big-name rookie, James Moffat, as he follows in the wheel tracks of his famous father. And we're looking in the rearview mirror at the highs and lows of Abu Dhabi, plus down the track to the Clipsal 500 in Adelaide. That's all ahead today on V8 Extra.
Yeah, hi everybody, welcome to V8 Extra today. We're back at home, we're in the workshop, the V8 Extra workshop, after being endlessly on the road. We have got a new star in the making joining us today. We'll get to him in just a moment. Speaking of stars, it is time to welcome an old one, Mark Larkham, back on the panel. Larko, nice to have you here.
Great to see you, true to form, Neil. Great to be back, mate. Another great season ahead.
A backhander before we even get started now. Abu Dhabi races 1 and 2, extraordinary races. First of all, there was the Win Cup First Blood, the tragic start to the championship journey, ending up in a minus position after day one of competition. Great race from Jason Bright, setting up a real thriller as we got to the end of race 2.
Isn't it funny? I'm not a big fan of starting the championship, but after that race over there, I think it went to a new, in what you'd describe as the purest sense of the word. You know what it's like when back, remember go-kart days and Formula 4 days? And
they fought hard and they gave each other room, which I thought was an incredibly impressive dice. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, something you've never done in your racing career. No, I find that an odd comment.
Speaking of nice, we've got a nice guest joining us now. As I said before, he is a star in the making. He did an extraordinary job at Sydney last year at the Sydney Telstra 500. It's time to welcome to the program Jonathon Webb. Nice to have you here from Mother Energy Racing.
Thanks, guys.
Webby, good to have you. Now, listen, great performance last year in Sydney. It's the first chance we've had to sit and have a chat about it. Extraordinary. An amazing day. And oddly enough, back-to-back by comparison to what you achieved on the same circuit 1 year earlier for the development series. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I guess it was one of those things that we always wanted to do, come in, make that step to V8 supercars and you want to win a race. But to have it happen our rookie year was above our expectations and just a brilliant day for all of us.
Right place, right time. You know, you were the guy that was best positioned on the wets in really terrible conditions, and you made the most of it. I mean, just describe the feeling of what it was like to actually cross the line with the other 28 blokes behind you.
Yeah, it was just one of those days. I mean, everything was happening. So, we made the call early on that, wets were the way to go. That the track didn't look like it was going to dry out in a hurry, and multiple surface changes out there make it very, very tough as a street circuit with different tyres on. So the wets were the safe bet, and to come away, keeping Bridie off our heels, and just really it was my race to lose. I had to make sure I kept the car straight, brought it home in one piece, and we took the checkered flag. So it was amazing.
Webby, I've got to compliment you. I think you're a young bloke ahead of your years in our game, and that's underscored by the fact that you finished 13th in last year's championship, which shouldn't be sneezed at.
No.
But more importantly, you finished every racing lap of every event in the year, and no other driver achieved that.
Well, I don't think it's been done very often, full stop, ever. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I went out there last year knowing that the first year I had to learn. And to learn in this game, you just got to be there, you got to do the laps, got to do the miles around all the other drivers. So from day dot, it was my aim to keep myself out of trouble as best I can. Probably came to me a few times on the way through, but it just kept on going, and I think that up in that championship position was...
Neil, from Webby, can I ask you a question? I mean, you're a wizard, you've been around in this game. No, you've watched for a long time, but it's hard
Wizards
for young guys... but for young guys to come in now and just make an impact is difficult, and I think this is the way to go, to actually establish, get some results and build on that. I mean, do you see that it's just not like it used to be?
Well, the problem is when you play win or bust, as you know, very often what happens is you get bust. What he's done is a great job of making sure that he crawls before he walks, and he's just done a beautiful job of putting those results together. And a great start to the championship this year too, Webby, because you came away from Abu Dhabi. You're now inside the top 10 in the championship, 20th in the first race, but 6th in the second race. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you. It started off really well. Went out there, practice went well, qualified 10th. So, we thought we've done this right. Obviously, there was a busy time, but things came together well, and the first race didn't quite go away, but then the second one on Saturday went to plan, and top 10 result.
What's it like punching around there under lights? From our perspective, it's a beautiful image. What's it like from the driver's seat?
Oh, it's an amazing place. I mean, I just love the circuit in general being that nice, big, open, fast-flowing Formula One style thing. So to add a bit of lights to it and 28 of us roaring around there, it's a real buzz.
Well, stay with us. We're going to take a break on V8 Extra. When we come back, we want to quiz him about the new structure for his race team in 2011. But as we go to the break, let's relive some of the extraordinary moments of his win last year on the streets of Sydney.
Jonathon Webb's career is really only just starting. He's never won a V8 supercar race. It's been about emotion will be bubbling over as he brings it around the final couple of turns. The rain is falling down at the Sydney Telstra 500, and that is a victory that's fallen from the heavens for Jonathon Webb. For the lead, Jonathon Webb at turn 1, getting the move done on James Moffat. He's done it all. He's won races, he's won rounds, he's taken poles and kept the straight car. The final lap of the Fujitsu Series, Jonathon Webb has driven away. Jonathon Webb is the champion, and he seals it in absolute style. Race and round win. To think that halfway through this championship race,
Extra, as we welcome you back, you must have something going out at Sydney. Every time you go out there, you win a race. One in the development series and the Fujitsu series in 2009. They need a plaque with your name out there.
Yeah, feeling pretty comfortable. I mean, it's my ex-home track. I'm a Sydney boy through and through, so go there, plenty of support and feeling comfortable. And you know, being out in the front of that race on Saturday was pretty comfortable for me. I'd been there the year before and taken the checkered flag, so more than happy to do it.
Webby, got to ask you, you've come out from under the umbrella of Dick Johnson Racing to set up your own team. That's a big call. I admire you for it, but there's got to be good reason.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of unrest in what was happening last year in the DJR camp, and we're heavily invested now in what we've done. We've got the car, the licence, the transport and everything there, and we're going to make sure we hit the track every time at the best of our ability. And there was a bit of upset there, so I thought it was time to make that move and set up our own show. It hasn't been easy by any means, but hopefully as a long-term goal for me in the sport, it should be a clever move, I hope.
Well done.
It's a big step, and wish you well with that one. Time now for Big Pond Sport email. I've got an interesting question here about penalty fairness, and this is one of his pet hates at the moment. We'll get to that in just a moment. And Steve says, look, what about Craig Lowndes' turn 11 Abu Dhabi, taking out Russell Ingall, pit lane penalty, gets to finish the race, grabs 42 points for his trouble. Russell gets 0. Is that fair? Well, the truth of the matter is it's not fair, and it's something that gets raised from time to time, Steve, but this is one of your things at the moment. You're fighting everybody about it.
Well, I am, but hang on. Fancy any sympathy for Russell getting 0 points? You reckon he hasn't dished out a few of these over the years? No, it is. I'd like to see in our game, I just think that the penalty doesn't fit the crime in too many occasions. Now, I'm not saying that was the instance in this one. What they're very much trying to do is to try and dish out the penalties during the race. It's no good if they look at that incident after the race and then change the order. So that, to me, is correct. But the sorts of things that really bug me, if we look at a little bit of vision here, Mark Winterbottom crossing the line here at the pit lane. Now, these sorts of things...
This is going over the painted white line pit lane entry, and here it is here.
Which you're not allowed to do, and he gets a pit lane drive-through penalty, which puts you way down in the field. Now, this sort of thing happens a lot for a non-competitive advantage, but at the end of the day, they're being penalised. Now, I understand that one because he could have created a big crash there, so that's fair enough, but I just think they need to review.
You reckon that's too harsh?
I reckon that's too harsh.
Well, you go and cool down, stand in the corner. Meantime, we're going to go away and have a look at one of your stories, because rule compliance is one of the important aspects of V8 supercar racing. So how does the scrutineering process work? Well, Larko's got the answers.
We already know V8 supercars is about hundreds of seconds, and teams will do anything to find an advantage. Now, whilst teams aren't actually cheaters, or certainly not since Neil Crompton retired, engineers are paid a lot of money to exploit the rules as best they can. And these guys over here, including Frankie Adamson down there, our category technical manager, are paid not so much money to try to stop them doing it. So let's have a look at a couple of little things on a car that they'll do to scrutineer it, to check that it technically complies with the rule book. Aerodynamically, and the shape of the car is critical to performance. So one of the things they do, they put this mould on here, this blue mould. It comes off and on, right, to ensure that the shape of the car is absolutely spot on. They've got another one around here that enforces and ensures the shape of the mudguard absolutely complies. Now, this one here is interesting. Starts right at the front, comes right over the top of the car, and you can see those little gaps in underneath. right? That determines that the shape of the car is absolutely perfectly as it should be, because any clever engineer, as they build a car, because remember they don't get these off the showroom floor, they build them from the ground up. So if you cleverly designed a car and moved a few things around, you could get an aerodynamic advantage. That prevents that happening. If we come to the back of the car, Frank's now got what is our wing jig, so you can see that ensures that the shape of this wing that gives us that all-important aerodynamic performance is absolutely spot on. Okay, in terms of the suspension down here, or the car's build, this is the other jig, goes right across the other side and ensures, look at the gap in there. It is absolutely millimetre perfect. This cannot be any wider than what it's supposed to be within this jig. Now, this other one they've got here determines the wheelbase from the centre of that wheel right up the front to the centre of the front wheel. Again, they've all got to be. Little trick teams can't fiddle with their engines. If we look in here, I don't know if you can see in under here, Greenie, that little seal there. Now, I have those seals all over the motor. There's another one down there I can see, and they clamp them and seal them up so the teams can't get inside their engines without the authority of the scrutineering guys. Now, to give you some idea how many rules there are that these guys have got to keep on top of, well, I can tell you that's just 2 segments of the rule book, and there is hundreds and hundreds of pages that these guys have got to comply with. It's a big ask.